Welcome back, my junk journaling friends. This is Laura from Hyperstamper, and this is not one of my new journals. It's been on Etsy for a bit, but what I did is I took it and I made it better, for lack of a better word. So this is a very, very pretty cover that I used an 1899 newspaper on, and then added some antique linen, some lace, and some vintage hanky bits here. And I just used some crochet bits, vintage crochet, and some newer lace to really pump it up. But I like it because it says here questions and answers. And I just think that's so lovely because that's really what life is. There's a whole lot of questions and answers. So this is first page is a full page illustration, just absolutely lovely. And that is from a 1903 book, antique book. And here I made a little double pocket, and that is a canasta scorecard, a little bit of antique crochet. And then back here I have a lovely, very old postcard, over 100 years, and this is from Court of Neptune, Library of Congress, Washington, D.C. Isn't that pretty? And I have mounted that all on top of a vintage recipe from a cookbook. Some tea-dyed paper here. It's the only paper in my journals that are not authentic antique or vintage papers, are the ones that I've tea-dyed. And we have here an old dictionary page with a lovely fruit image here. Isn't that pretty? And there's another one of those vintage doilies that I made into a pocket. And this one here tucked inside is from a I want to say 55 or 54 Theater World magazine. So you can do some journaling on there or just read it. It's really fun vintage ephemera that I've included there for you. And over here is just that little flip side. If you want, you can actually glue this down and make it into a pocket, but I'm leaving that to you. There's the rest of that dictionary page. And here I just turned this antique book page because it was so brittle. I turned it into a little envelope for journaling, a little journaling card there for you. Lots of white space on this recipe page here, and a nice cheesy recipe photo here of frankfurters with cheese sauce. And this is a 1950s yearbook page, and more sports from that yearbook page here. Isn't that fun? We've got basketball there. And then I have this here. It's a receipt from 1931. Isn't that great? Oh, sorry, it's not a receipt. It's a book lesson using a receipt as an example. So it's from a lesson book. There we go. And this is from a vintage craft magazine, that lovely needlepoint there. I just thought the colors were really fun. And even though it's not super old, it's just vintage, I thought it was really appropriate to be in this journal. Just a little bit of tea-dyed paper there and a tea-dyed card. And this here is shorthand. So my younger viewers will not know what that is, but it's how secretaries, and yes, they were called secretaries way back, would take notes. They would do all of the words in just using tiny little symbols and then transcribe it. That is your history lesson for the day. And that's called Pitman's shorthand. I remember it. I hate to tell you that. So this is just a lovely children's book illustration, pickles and things at a country fair. Isn't that fun? And this is a page from The Secret Garden, my favorite antique book. And I've had 2 of them in the past, and I cannot find another copy to save my life, but I am always on the hunt for The Secret Garden book. That's not on Etsy. This is just a little label that I found in a vintage book that I thought I would stick on there. And you get this whole vintage hanky here, which is lovely, and you can do whatever you like with that. You can reuse it, just keep it for its beauty, or use it in another junk journal. This is still part of that vintage craft magazine, and I hand stamped some of my tea-dyed pages here. This is more basketball from that great yearbook. And over here we have volleyball, boys volleyball. How fun is that? Okay, let's see. Oh, I have a lot of people when they do personalization ask for images of deers. So I was almost sad that this landed in this journal because it's these things that I include as gifts to my purchasers if they ask for special ephemera. And a deer's comes up a lot. So some vintage stamps up here. A title from a book here says, Hold Fast Your Dreams, and that's some book spine there. I love the texture of those. And this is an 1800s book page. It's a little brittle, so I doubled it and made it into a pocket and just made this little journaling book here. I love the old ages on this music. That is 1933. That's fun. Yeah, I had to look that up. Google Roman numerals. And then this is from a vintage bird book, but I did tea dye it because it was super, super glossy and white and didn't look old. So even though it was old, I wanted it to look older. So I admit I did that. A 1950s bingo card. You can still see the perforations in it because it came on a big sheet. And here's a little tag that I made out of a children's book. Pillows are fun to stuff, bump, bump. And that is pocketed inside of this dictionary page pocket that I made. And this, first of all, I'm going to point this out. This says Books of Special Interest. I got that from an antique book. Mounted it onto this antique book page, and in this window pocket I made says The Call of the Past. Also, like for my antique journals, that couldn't be better. I put this little postcard in here from 1885. And even though it's got scribbling on it and ink spots, I love it. So I hope you have a lot of fun reading that. It's very special, very precious, and this is where it lives now. Little bird stamp here, and I made this out of a tiny little dictionary. Sorry, I just wanted to remember to go to this page. These are two vintage Pearls Shop store receipts. Ladies and infants and ready-to-wear dry goods, notions, and toys. I wish Pearls Shop was still around. I would shop there. 1930s music sheet. And a vintage sewing pattern instruction page here. And I mounted some vintage stamps on there with the envelope still attached. This is from a 1950s, I believe it's Needlework magazine. And look at the great image here. Isn't that fun? I love it. And this is one of my favorite things. Everybody knows when I attach this. It is from the 1936 Paris, France Almanac. And this is a 1936, Sunday, March 29th. And let's see here, Monday, March 30th, 1936. So that was, if you want to throw some of these things into Google Translate, it's a fascinating read. My French Canadian friends like these bits very, very much. And if you have a birthday, you want me to include one of these almanac pages with your birthday in it, please just let me know at checkout on my Etsy store. This is a old vintage card, very old, and I turned it into just a little journaling tag. There we go. And that is mounted on that Needlework magazine again. More of that pattern page. And the Wearing of the Green, which is an Irish song. And that is the end of that journal. Isn't that wonderful? So if you want to read more about the history of the papers that are in here, go to my Etsy store, etsy.com/shop/Hyperstamper. And I hope you'll visit my store and subscribe so you can see more. Bye for now.